Mr. Michael Valdes.
Orlando, how are you, my friend?
It is a true honor and pleasure. So for the few people that might not know who you are, let me give a brief introduction. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, the person we have today on the show, listen to this, was all right. So he's the president of eXp Global. All right. So, but before he got to eXp, I want to tell you something. He was with Sotheby's for 13 years. 13 years. So we have a seasoned executive in the real estate industry right here today in the show. Not only that, then he became the senior VP for Realogy, the parent company, for Coldwell Banker, Century 21, AREAA, Corcoran, Sotheby's, and I think, Michael, maybe I'm missing one or two companies.
Better Home and Garden.
There you go. I lost count already of the companies.
There were 6 of them.
Okay, 6 companies, all right? But only in 113 countries.
That's right.
All right, Michael, how many days a year were you traveling at a time?
I was traveling 200 days a year on average and 250,000 miles. So American Airlines loved me.
Oh my God. Well, if that is not enough, he's also the chairman of the board for AREAA, and he's going to explain exactly. It's the Asian Real Estate Association. Yeah. Also, you're on the board for NAREP.
Correct.
Very, very important. But
yes.
If that is not enough, because you have a lot of free time, as we can see, you're also the host for the Global Luxury Real Estate Mastermind podcast.
That's right.
All right. So before we go into the eXp and all the things you have planned for the future, man, how do you have enough time to handle everything?
Listen, I think I'm just going to hire you as my publicist. That's it. First of all, Orlando, listen, thank you for having me on your show. Thank you. Really, it's an honor to have a friendship with you now. I, of course, knew your trajectory, which has been amazing with you and your brother and everything that you've done in our industry. And really, your leadership is really second to none. And the fact that you are now part of the eXp family, I couldn't be more proud to really sort of be brothers with you in every sense of the word now. Thank you. Thank you for letting me.
That's the beautiful, one of the beautiful things, the most beautiful things I experience at eXp. It's the brotherhood.
Yes.
The connection, the culture. When you're in Miami, I call you, Michael, and say, okay, when do we have dinner? Can we meet with this person? And of course, we'll meet with anybody you want to. So
I'm heading back to my place in Miami next week. So you have my schedule, whatever you want. I can't wait to see you.
There you go. Dying to see you here too, brother. For real. It's a great honor to work with you and to see how available you are, not only to me and my brother, but everybody in the organization.
You know, it really is that sense of family. And I must tell you, it's I had 15 years at Realogy, as you were saying, and Realogy is a behemoth of a corporation, right? And when you come here at eXp and you see the agility of this company and the fact that everyone, yes, is a family, and that is not an overused term. And it is really something that from the first day that I was here, they told me, next week is our investor conference. I came in May. The next week is our investor conference. 10,000 people between the eXp World, our virtual platform, the streaming that they had, and then the live broadcast that they have through the website of the investor channel on our corporate website. Altogether was about 10,000 people. And so this was literally like my 3rd day. And they're like, so can you prepare like 40-minute presentation on your vision of international? I'm like, sure. So it was like in the first 5 days, everyone got to know me because it was literally like pushing me into the main stage. But it was wonderful because the amount of love that I got from everyone has been extraordinary, the amount of support, and really seeing this incredible business platform, which you discovered on your own, and how that would translate on a global scale. That's something that you know because you obviously have a lot of international clients that you deal with already. And the idea of how this can translate on a global scale, because this is basically, before you were saying to somebody, buy this franchise, here's the franchise fee, and by the way, you owe me a royalty fee and a marketing fee and everything else. And now it's sort of saying,
and it's gonna take you about 18 months to 2 years to just open the door.
Exactly, right? Now I'm telling you, I'm going to give you all of that, Mr. and Mrs. Agent. You're the brand now. I'm the platform underneath it, and I'm giving you a global platform, and you're the brand. There's no royalty.
What's the investment?
Franchise fee. You're the brand.
And what's the investment?
Zero.
There you go. Now,
Zero.
Exactly. And look, you know, I had Glenn Sanford, our founder,
Yes.
right? The founder of eXp on Monday on the show. And he was never referring to the eXp Realty. It's the platform.
That's
Think
it.
about a platform for your brand.
That's exactly what it is. It's amazing. Listen, I'm about to open in South Africa in a couple of weeks, right? And
5 countries by the end of the year.
5 countries, which is South Africa, India, Portugal, France, and Mexico.
Well,
Not in any variety of order. So I didn't give it to you in order.
okay.
But it is the idea that those 5 countries, and there might be another one, but I'm sneaking that in. It's either 5 or 6 countries before the end of the year.
Okay.
And we are very excited, but it's the idea that the amazing thing is that this is not a franchise, right? So it's one company.
Right.
We are building our corporations in every one of those countries that we're going into. So there is an eXp South Africa Corporation, an eXp India Corporation, an eXp Mexico Corporation, etc. And every one of those broker of records or my country leaders will become one of the directors of those companies. And then we have a small staff in between, but it's the idea that we are incredibly agile, right? So this is a publicly traded company. And, you know, not to speak about the stock, but in the short time that I've been here, in the 3.5 months, 4 months that I've been here, the stock has grown almost 600%. And that's because of the fact that we are focused on what is this global expansion, right? We're talking about, you know, my hire. We had Courtney Shakaroon as the chief marketing officer that came in from CoreLogic. We had Ken Cheng that came in as global controller that came in from GE. He's got an amazing amount of talent that came in, right?
Now, and it's important when we're talking about the companies, right? The company has been in business for 11 years.
That's right.
Now we talk about Remax, which is an amazing company,
Absolutely.
right? And it has a market cap of about $1 billion. Then we talk about Realogy, which is a behemoth, right? It's a huge company. It has a market cap of about 1.2. eXp, almost $3 billion,
Over.
2.5 times, and
Yep.
3 times almost as Remax, right? In just such a short period of time. So
there's a huge trajectory.
Right. So let me go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And again, you're a seasoned veteran of our industry. You were, you know, an amazing company. Right?
Yes.
What made you think about eXp? What made you, made you do the move into eXp?
You know, it was sort of like, for me, I was in a very niche market, right? International, and really growing international for these larger corporations, these larger brands, because each one of them has a different distinction. And so there was a lot of knowledge that was behind there. And so there are a lot of our competitors and a lot of our brands that really were trying to get a foothold on international. And, you know, they understood that it's not easy. And so I met with a lot of people just to see what else was there. And to be quite honest, eXp was never in my radar, never in my radar. And so it wasn't until I first met Jason. And Jason and I sat on a panel together last year for the Global Real Estate Conference in New York City.
And Jason is the CEO of eXp.
Jason Gessing, the CEO. And so he was on a panel with me. And we had the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, the CEO of Knight Frank, and so everyone was a CEO except for me, who was a senior vice president at the time. But it was really, you know, we had the CEO of Douglas Elliman. And so we had a nice sort of group of people, and we had a great discussion. And after that discussion, it was Jason that approached me, and he says, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you if you would ever be interested in the conversation. And I said, I absolutely would be interested. I thought that Jason was one of the most knowledgeable people in our industry and a true gentleman. And so I sat with Jason and we started conversing as to what this could look like. And the more I learned about the model, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know, if you really sort of like focus this on a global scale, there is absolutely no stopping it. And in the short time that we have been doing this, there's over 22 countries that I have in a pipeline. There's 5 that we started very aggressively to go through. And what our agent count will be by the end of the year will probably be 10% at least of what our domestic numbers are.
So let's go into the model, because it's so critical for agents and brokers to understand, because until you understand it, if I don't show you the numbers, it's just not possible to believe. When you're talking to brokers and they're saying, oh my God, I'm doing so well. I went from 80 agents to 120 agents in a year. That's what an agent does in a month, right? When you see the company doing 1,500 to 1,700 agents a month, where most companies are losing agents in a monthly basis, all right? Hey, what's happening in the industry where the company has gone from 466 agents in 6 years to over 35,000, and the caliber of those agents. So wait a minute. What is it? And maybe I'm not seeing something that 35,000 people have seen. So can you talk a little bit about the model and the impact the model will have, already has, because we're in Australia, Canada, and UK.
That's right.
In the international arena.
So I'm happy to do that. And thank you for that question. It really is. Think about where we are now in this world of COVID that has been affecting the entire planet, right? No one is safe from this virus. There is no vaccine yet. We have had 6 months, most of us, where there's been just lockdown in different variety of ways. And it's all over the world, right? It's not as though anyone has been spared from this. And so we've had to figure out how to communicate in a lot of different ways. And so like what we're doing now with Zoom, Microsoft Teams, with everything. And so the idea that there was a virtual platform which has existed for over a decade. So this is not as though these are a deliverable that happened in the last 2 years as a response to anything that was sort of coming. So, you sort of see the Zoom stock that has, quintupled because of the fact of what has been happening here, right? And so this is actually a platform that's already existed. This is an actual world that's existed. So when you start thinking about the technology that we're talking about, and where other companies call themselves the disruptors, they're not. We're the only true disruptor that exists. Other companies that call themselves technology disruptors, not to call any of our competitors out, are really great marketers. They're great marketing companies, right? And so it's sort of like, which is fantastic. They're fantastic marketing companies, but they're not technology companies. We are. We are a true technology company, and that technology has actually been serving other industries. So Virbela, which is our technology platform, has been doing deals with Deloitte, with Price Waterhouse, and the entertainment side, they've been doing deals
with the U.S. military.
The U.S. military.
The University of California in San Diego. I mean, universities are using the platform.
That's how it started, actually. It started, you mentioned my podcast. I interviewed Alex Howard, who's the CEO and founder of Virbela, on my podcast a couple of weeks ago. And so it started, he was at UCSD, and it started as a platform, as an educational deliverable platform. And so there are still factors of that. They're doing the virtual platform learning for Stanford University now. And so it's amazing that they've got into other platforms. So technology is one of the key things that we talk about with the program, because we need to sort of understand that that is a key thing, is technology right now, because everyone needs it. Everyone needs to be connected in some way and know that their job can continue. Do you know that we just had our last quarter was the most successful quarter in the company's 10-year history, in the middle of a pandemic, right? The most successful quarter. I mean, it's just amazing to start looking at, because that's a huge thing. So when we start talking about technology, please tell me.
No, because I wanted to, for the viewers and the listeners to understand what the technology can do for the agents and the brokers. So, because it's a platform, right? Number one, what are agents looking for? It's training. Number one, right? How to generate more leads and how to convert more leads into buyers and sellers. That's number one. whether you are new and experienced, you still want more training and you want to be
100%.
associated and relate to people that are way above you. And the company allows you to do that live in a daily basis with agents who in a quarter, $1,000,000, $500,000 or above. That's number one, training.
100 hours of live training a week, by the way.
Week, right? So number two is agility and mobility, which is very important, especially nowadays. But number three, the most important thing where other companies just can't compete is the ability to save so much money, and that saving being given to the agent. The compensation structure could not be possible if we didn't have this technology. It's not only about having the technology and, oh, that's nice, that's cute, that's great. No, 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 no. That technology allows the company to save so much money and make the agent an owner and actually make way more money. And not only make more money, it's the way you make the money. Real estate agents don't have a business, they have a job, sell properties. But if you want to convert that into business, you need to grow your teams, right?
All the agents here are owners of this company, right? So let's talk about the model. So we start with a very aggressive compensation model with commission, and it's different in every part of the world. In the US, it's one model that's very aggressive, and then it's very similar in its core throughout all of the other countries that we're opening outside of the United States, but the numbers are a little bit different. The idea is that you're empowering the agent to get to 100% commission. So think about that. Think about that.
Please say that again. You are empowering the agent
to make 100% of their commission.
There you go. You're rewarded instead of being penalized. You're rewarded for making more money. And the more you make, the closer you get to the 100%.
Well, absolutely right. And then think about that. So if you are a brand, because a lot of these agents become the brand, right? It is the Orlando Montiel brand. It is the fact that you and your brother were the ones that were hustling, and that's who everybody knows, right? So whomever you were with, it didn't matter. They were coming to do business with Orlando Montiel.
There you go.
And so
in banking, there's a saying in banking that goes like this. It's you bank with the banker, you don't bank with the bank.
100%.
At the end of the day, the banker moves to another bank and they go. And that's one of the biggest lie in our industry, that the company is the one that you need to, you are the brand. The client is doing business with you. Many times the client doesn't even know how to pronounce the name of the company.
That's right.
Right?
Listen, this is the one business where it doesn't matter what it is. This is a people business. This is a relationship business. You do business with people you like and trust.
Exactly.
That's who you do business with.
There you go.
Do business with people you like and trust. And so that is, I'm doing business with Orlando Montiel. It's sort of like, I don't know whether Orlando is at CB, C21. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to do business with you. So the fact that you're the brand to me, now you are the brand that I'm empowering to be a global brand and to give you 100% of the commission.
There you go.
Okay.
I didn't see it like that. It's just, we are empowering the agents to get 100% of their commissions.
That's right. That's
through
right.
the compensation model, that it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't because of the technology that allows us to save so much money.
Exactly. Where we have no bricks and mortar, we have no offices, right? So we have no offices. Our offices are in our eXp virtual world. Right. And so I come into my office is on one of my screens right now. It's open. I'm on a virtual world right now. We're all avatars. Every agent is an avatar. You come in and it's this sense of, because this was built as a university platform, it feels as though you're going to a university campus, right? So you have the auditorium. It totally does. Like I do my global meetings the last Monday of every month. So next Monday is my global meeting. I'll probably have 500 people in the room, but then it live streams and then it does everything else. So people get the information, but it is like you're going to a university lecture and it's amazing. And it's that type of thing. And so we've built a world for every country that we're in. So we have a Canada operations, a UK operations. I just built a South African operation that's going to go live next week. It's the idea that this is the global world. And here's another thing with the platform is the idea, we've only touched on one thing. I get excited about this.
I know.
We've only touched on one of the four.
Yeah, pretty much the same energy. So
I know. It's like, so what's exciting with the platform is that all gatekeepers are removed. Imagine in the regular sort of world, if you wanted to go and have a meeting with, you know, the CEO of Realogy or Remax or whatever it is, you'd probably have to go through 3 sort of assistants to try to get on the calendar and the whole sort of thing. Here, anyone jumps in. You could go into Glenn Sanford's office if he's free, into my office, into, you know, into anyone. I mean, how many times have you popped into my office? It's sort of like, you know, it's so like, if anyone's free, everyone will take that meeting. I can't tell you how many people walk into my office randomly and just talk about anything. I'm happy to talk with anyone. That's that freedom that exists. It's literally an open door policy.
It is. It is.
Hop right in. There are no gatekeepers. It's gone.
Well, we talk all the time out through to workplace all the time. You know?
Absolutely. So the first thing is that commission structure, right? The second thing is something that you alluded to. It's the idea of being able to also earn shares, to be an owner of this company. And so you earn shares by your production, really. And so from there, you get rewarded. So once you get to an icon status, which is different in every country, there's different requirements, but then what you paid in, so you pay a cap of, for let's use the US, for example, you pay a cap of 16,000 US dollars.
And time out, let's explain what a capping is, because many agents and many brokers have no clue. You ask them, okay, what's your split? 80-10 or 80-20 or 90-10. What's your cap? And they go, $250 per transaction. No. What's your cap?
Yeah.
Meaning the most you pay every anniversary, by anniversary year, right, to the company, right? And most brokerages do not offer a cap. It's just, it might be 90-10, but if you make $300,000, you're paying $30,000 to the company.
That's
Capping
exactly
is the most you pay in a year. At eXp, $16,000 in the US.
In the US. Right. Yes, and that's exactly right. And then once you paid in that $16,000, it's 100% commission, right? And then at that $16,000 mark, once you sort of reach icon status, which has other qualifications that we won't get into on this one, but let's just say once you sort of get icon status, that $16,000 you paid in is returned to you in stock.
Right.
So
100%. Now you're becoming a true 100% agent.
That is correct.
Right. And the basic qualifications is very simple. It's 20 transactions. That's it. And it can be rentals too. All right. I want to go. I want to take, you know, because I want to have this opportunity that being with you, the person of eXp Global, to go into international. Yeah. So we are already, you know, the company is already in Canada, Australia, UK, opening India, France, Portugal, Mexico, South Africa. All right. So that's within 2020. How do you see, how many countries do you see in the near future? You have a 12-month goal, you have a 3-year goal. How do you see it? And we had this conversation before, but I want the audience to understand it, your vision.
So the vision is great. And so I can't get into specifics with you because being a publicly traded company, we have to make sure that we give the information to the audience at all times together. So I can tell you that we have a very aggressive approach. So I have over 20 countries in my pipeline in various methods of communication that I have right now. And so that pipeline is getting stronger every single day. And so what I'm looking for is for the continuation of this story to be as powerful as what we've done in the United States. We are the fastest growing real estate company in America. I want to make sure that with that, we make sure that how we open and where we open is just as important. So in Europe, for example, it's important for us to fill in Central Europe first before we go into other areas so that we continue to build that global footprint. In Asia, it's strategic as to where we go to be able to fill in what we have in Australia and being able to fill in there. And so when we start looking at APAC, including the ANZ area, which is Australia and New Zealand, it's sort of like what we actually do things that are very strategic to us so that it's strategic to all of our agents and shareholders. And so when we start looking at Latin America, we want to make sure that we have the bigger countries there in Latin America. So everything becomes very strategic in nature. So we are looking at those countries that are going to build on our story. So right now we're building on these 5 countries. So I'm looking at probably a 10% agent count from our domestic numbers by end of year. By next year, I want the agents outside of the United States to make up at least 25% of our agent count. And then the following year will either be at par or surpass it. So I am fully aware of the fact that there will be more agents outside of the United States and inside the United States. It just makes sense.
For those agents and brokers watching outside or listening outside the United States,
yes,
what do you think is the biggest competitive advantage eXp brings to the table when compared to other companies in different countries?
Let me tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
I have been dealing right now with South Africa. As I said, it's our next country we're going to launch in a couple of weeks. And so
it's a big launch, by the way, huge launch. Can you share numbers of agents, or you can't?
I can't. So I got a call from the #1 and the #2 broker in South Africa. Okay. And so I was waiting on them, but I was just like, I was trying to see how I can hunt them. And I didn't need to hunt. They called me. I had one in particular called me on a Sunday. And he says, I think it's time for us to talk. I said, sure. Okay. So we spoke the next morning. And he said, listen, I know you're coming into South Africa. I know that the platform is powerful. I know what your model is going to be here. And I know that we're going to lose agents to you. Okay. I'd like to figure out how we work together.
Okay.
That's the power of the brand and the platform. Has nothing to do with what I'm doing. Right. I'm just I'm just positioning it. Right. So it's the idea that now we're coming in and people are fearing what we're doing because it's powerful. We're switching.
Why? Because we know it, but for the listeners and the viewers, why is it powerful?
We are handing the power back to the agents. We're giving the power to the agents. Imagínate, this is the idea that in a place like Mexico. Mm-hmm. Mexico has no licensing in Mexico, right? But a lot of great brands operate in Mexico. There's terrific brands that operate there. But now think about a country of 165 million people. There's probably about 1 million people that are working in the real estate industry. You think about 1 million people that now can have the power in their hands to become their brand, for them to be the brand. Imagine the growth potential that happens there.
To be the brand, and I would add to that, to truly have the knowledge and the tools to truly position themselves as the experts to truly grow their brand. Because one thing is to be a brand, but one other thing is to be able to have the tools to execute and make sure that I can grow my business. Because when they're independent, especially in South America, there is no tools. There's mouth to mouth and just hustling, but there is no automation, there is no marketing, there is no segmentation, there is no content, there is no follow-up, right? There is no pre-qualification. It's just just hustling, right? But there's no tools behind you.
You can't spell expert without EXP.
That's true. And that's one of the reasons it's called EXP, right? Right? Expert, exponential, etc. Right. So for the people listening outside the United States, and especially inside, by the way, it's pretty much everywhere in the world where it's regulated, right? Now you do have the tools to truly position you as a brand, right? Like I say in the United States, most real estate agents, when they get their license, they think they're real estate agents. And we say, no, you are not a real estate agent. You are
a person with a license.
You are a secret agent. Nobody knows you exist. Why? Because there is no marketing behind you. There is not listen, at the end of the day, we are not in the business of real estate. We're in the business of marketing. And the top agents in the country, 100%. Some of the top agents that we coach, they understand that you're in the business of marketing.
That's it.
Right? It's all positioning. Now, but how do you position yourself is you don't have the tools behind it. Right?
Precisely. This is something that gives you this is a brand in a box. Mm-hmm. You're the brand.
Exactly. Now, what tools will they have in other countries? Can you talk about the tools they be able to utilize?
So here's the thing. The other thing is that, there's a whole series of third-party tools, CRM, lead generation, where your listings go into various portals. All of that will be a very similar deliverable in all countries that we're in. Of course, all of those will differ a little bit because the portals are obviously different in every country. The lead generation would be a little bit different as to how you grab those. But we are right now dealing with a third party that's building our technology to build what is going to be a global website so that we have all of our listings in one place. So it's basically, think of this as a global MLS because, as I said before, we are not a franchise. Everything else, when you think of any other brand that I've worked for, or if you worked for, it's the idea that when you think of the global footprint, it's usually a master franchise or a direct franchise, right? So everything is segmented, everything is fragmented. Here we own everything. So any listings that come into South Africa or Canada or whatever it is, it's all going to land in one place with one owner and one brand. That's never been done before.
Exactly.
So that is an incredible deliverable to a consumer and to that agent. So imagine that you're sitting in Mexico and somebody is sort of saying, I want to buy a place in Miami. And you open up your phone and you give them their entire inventory of what's available at eXp Miami. And sort of like, that is the power of what you have in your hands as to what we're going to be building here. And it's sort of like, or make it even more special. It's sort of like, you know, I want to retire in Portugal and get a golden visa. I wonder what's available. Here you go. And so that is the power that that agent will have as a brand.
And I'm going to say, because I know you're an executive for a public company, you can't say it, but I've experienced it here in the United States. And I'm assuming it's going to happen also globally, right? Which is the compensation for the agent, other than the stock options or the stocks they can purchase at a discount, you know, award stocks, is also the split and the capping, especially in South America and Europe, where the splits are so humongous. We're talking about 60-40, 50-50, all right? And in the United States, the company has been able to compete at a very high level because of the split and the cap the company has. So I'm assuming that, I don't know if you can talk about that, all right? But I'm assuming it's gonna be as competitive, if not more competitive.
We will be competitive in every market that we enter. So in every market we enter, we will be very competitive. You know, South Africa is a first example. You know, when you mentioned Glenn earlier, and Glenn is such an incredible visionary. And so I came up with a model that I presented to him based on the competitive marketplace in South Africa. Mm-hmm. And so he said, no, I want to be even more competitive. And he took a red pen out and he started sort of like, you know, coming up with all of this. And so we are the most competitive model that will enter the South African market.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
That is really a very strong indicator of the attraction that we're getting in markets like that. We're just now finalizing the business model for both France and Portugal. And then we're working on the Mexico and India one as we speak. So we're getting all of these together in a very, very quick manner because we are looking at a very aggressive launch in this last quarter that's coming up. We're going to be going into 5 countries because we've already announced it. So we're working like crazy. And I have a very, very talented team and everyone is really coming together. And this is an exciting time for us.
Listen, I have one more question for you before I let you go. You're from one meeting to the other. You mentioned Glenn, right?
Yes.
Great visionary. To me, one of the top, most influential persons in our industry. One thing you've learned from him, you know, through all the meetings and conversations you have with him.
You know, I got to tell you something. I think that for him, he's a true visionary. Very few people like that happen in our lifetime. And I have to tell you, it was, I had interviewed him on my podcast a couple of months ago. And he coined this phrase. He said that I was a monomaniac on a mission. And so it was, I said, wait, is that a compliment? And he said, it's a huge compliment. And so, but it was really funny because I introduced him as my new boss. And he corrected me. And he says, I'm not your boss. I'm your coach.
That's right.
And so,
I hear that. I remember that. Yep.
And so, you know, and that was to me really, really stuck with me. And he says, You know, you learn from me, I learn from you, and we build this together.
Right.
That's a visionary,
Right.
because you know that it takes a whole lot of people to build this. You know, I'm not doing anything. I'm part of a team that's doing this. And, you know, we're sort of like, maybe we're sort of getting there a little bit faster because of my background, but we're doing this together. There's no way I can open up 5 countries on my own. It's impossible. There's no way. And so it's the idea that this is done as a team effort, and it's really something that everyone feels. And a lot of the leads that came from eXp agents.
Right.
And so everyone is part of this community, including you. You've been really very, very instrumental since you've been on board, because you have such a strong part of your business, which is international. And we've been working very closely. So this is something where, you know, we use that word again. It does feel like a family. It does feel like this is somebody who is working together, right? And if there is a hiccup, somebody else picks you up. And somebody else sort of like, you know, when we start figuring out job descriptions, it's really difficult, because it's the fact that everyone does what's needed to be done in order to get the job done.
And I can attest to that. I reached out to Glenn on Thursday.
Yeah.
Glenn, I want to have you on the show. He said, can you do it on Monday? From Thursday to Monday. He said, okay, let's do it on Monday. And that's it. It's that simple, right? Everybody's collaborating. And I want to close the show with something very important, something that agents need to understand. What you just said, I'm gonna use those words from now on. It's giving the power back to the agent.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so critical. Right.
Absolutely, it is.
Michael, it's been a pleasure. We got to do this again, man.
Let's do it, Papa. Whenever you want.
We should do this again, definitely within the next every 4 to 6 weeks. The company's growing so fast.
It is.
Like,
we'll have a lot of updates
every 30, 45 days.
That's right. That's right. Listen, we can do something next week. We're in person together.
Exactly. Okay. So welcome back to Miami. I can't wait to have you here in Miami. Have dinner with a bunch of people right here.
I can't wait to see you, man. And to you, thank you so much for your generosity and your hospitality. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.